Well, I'm afraid it'll have to wait. Whatever it was, I'm sure it was better than my plan to get out of this by pretending to be mad.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks from memorable instances where popular sitcoms shift to a grimmer tone.
Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake's plane was shot down over the Sea of Japan.
Number 30, Jesse's Substance Abuse, Saved by the Bell. The episode Jesse's Song in Saved by the Bell delves into a darker territory than usual. There's nothing funny about the obsession with perfection that leads to Jesse Spano becoming addicted to caffeine pills.
Jesse, those pills are dangerous.
Yeah, well, so's geometry.
You told me you were gonna stop taking them.
I need them to stay awake and study, okay?
No, it's not okay. Jesse, I'm worried about you. Give me the pills.
Mind your business.
This is the result of placing too much pressure on herself and trying to successfully balance her life as both a student and member of a singing group. What follows is a mental breakdown and the need for counseling for Jessie. This episode even resonates today, drawing parallels with issues for some young people, such as anxiety and academic pressure that can lead to substance abuse.
I'm the one who didn't listen. I've got a real problem. My mom's taking me to the doctor tomorrow for counseling. I've got to learn that it's okay if I'm not the best at everything.
Number 29, The Break-In, The Good Life. North American viewers might not immediately recognize the BBC sitcom The Good Life, but just about every viewer of this otherwise innocuous show was probably taken aback by what transpires in the season 4 finale.
Tom! The sort of people who do this call the police pigs.
The episode Anniversary aired during a period where punk rock and juvenile delinquency were hot topics in UK papers and on the news. When Tom and Barbara return to their home to find it vandalized with symbols of hate speech and the phrase fascist pig written on the walls, well, they're just as shocked as the audience.
This isn't our failure. It's somebody else's. We can cope with our own failures. We have one every other day.
Number 28. Unequal opportunity employment. That's So Raven. The premise of a main character who experiences psychic visions allows That's So Raven to tell some unique and interesting stories. The episode True Colors explores the subject of bigotry when Raven experiences a vision that reveals her recent job interview was a sham.
There's gotta be some reason why you didn't get that job.
The truth is, I don't hire black people.
Chloe Hunter, the owner of a mall clothing store called Sassy's, is revealed to be a racist who refuses to hire black people. The writers and cast of That's So Raven do a great job underlining the seriousness of the issue and leave moments open for reflection and discussion about why Chloe's behavior is wrong.
You guys showed a lot of courage.
As long as there's people like that out there, it's up to us to stand up to them.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it together, you guys.
Number 27, Silence is Not Golden, Full House. This may be a sitcom that's better remembered for its heartwarming moments and goofy catchphrases, but the episode Silence is Not Golden was tonally and totally different.
Guess you're really in for it now, huh? Yeah, that's twice this week. My dad's gonna flip out on me. Well, you know what helps? Try thinking of a funny movie like Home Alone or Roger Rabbit. That's what I always do when I'm getting it.
There are some laughs to be found, sure, but the main plot revolves around one of Stephanie's classmates who is suffering abuse at home. The episode shows Stephanie's inner struggle of wanting to keep her promise to stay quiet while understanding the worrisome reality that things could get worse. She eventually tells an adult and gets her friend the help he needs.
It's not my fault. It's not your fault. We weren't the ones hurting Charles.
Then why'd they have to take him out of his house?
They had to. He wasn't safe there.
What's gonna happen to Charles?
Well, Charles and his father need help, and now they're gonna get it.
The original TGIF run of the episode featured a special PSA. Number 26, Bill McNeil's Death, News Radio. It's never easy when a real-life death necessitates a beloved character's exit from a program.
Was it just me, or did Dave's eulogy really suck?
Totally suck.
It sucked.
I think maybe Dave wanted the eulogy to be so good, he just tried a little too hard and lost perspective.
Sadly, such was the case with Bill McNeil from News Radio, as the actor who played him, Phil Hartman, was murdered by his wife. The writers of News Radio handled Bill's departure by explaining that he suffered a fatal heart attack. There are visible and audible signs of grief emanating from the cast, a sadness that's palpable for just about everyone watching the episode.
That about wraps it up for me. Farewell. Take care of each other, and I'll see you all when you get to wherever it is that I am now.
Phil Hartman may be gone, but his talent and grace will never be forgotten. Number 25. Natalie is assaulted. The Facts of Life. The setting of Eastland Academy within this Different Strokes spin-off provides a lot of opportunities for the four main cast members to socialize with other students. However, it's after a party at neighboring Bates Academy where reports of a recent assault become real for Natalie Green.
Mrs. Garrett, those people hadn't passed by.
It's all right. It's all right.
Mrs. Garrett, I was almost home.
After getting physically attacked on her way home, she's so shaken that she becomes reluctant to leave the safety of Eastland. As a result of this horrifying experience, and the negative impact it has on Natalie's psyche, her teacher urges her to enroll in a self-defense course. Mindy Cohn's performance as Natalie in this episode, titled Fear Strikes Back, is both powerful and memorable.
Okay, I've got options. But I'm still afraid.
Natalie, everybody's afraid. These are crazy, crazy times. But life is still sweet. Don't let your fear paralyze you.
Number 24. Jodie's death. Mom. While Jodie Hubbard isn't introduced in the pilot episode of Mom, that doesn't make her eventual appearance any less notable.
What'd you think of your first AA meeting? I don't know, I'm not sure it's for me.
Jodie's history of substance use and recovery ties into the show's central themes. After Christy and friends learn of Jodie's shocking death caused by a relapse, the series does a great job underlining the tragic situation. The gags are instead replaced with real stages of grief, shock, disbelief, and pain. Jodie may not be a character on Mom for a long time, but her connection to both the cast and audience feels genuine and meaningful.
I know your heart was in the right place when you didn't tell me about Jodie. You wanted me to enjoy my honeymoon, and I did.
I'm glad. It is all I wanted.
Number 23. Killing all the right people. Designing women. It's difficult to come to terms with just how much damaging rhetoric and misinformation there was during the early years of the AIDS crisis in America.
Why do you want us to design your funeral?
Because I'm dying. And I like your taste.
Kendall, what do you mean you're dying? You're just a kid.
I know. But I have AIDS.
This episode of Designing Women, titled Killing All the Right People, decided to tackle this social confusion and prejudice head-on. There's actually a double message at play, since the episode also offers a parallel to the debate over the distribution of condoms at schools. Kendall Dobbs, a character living with AIDS, is faced with hurtful comments by one of the side characters, who condemns his lifestyle as being sinful.
And I don't care what you say, Julia Sugarbaker. I believe this is God's punishment for what they've done.
Dixie Carter's Julia Sugarbaker and Annie Potts's Mary Jo Shively deliver startlingly effective monologues to counterpoint this position. Number 22. Urban Fear. Punky Brewster. It takes a certain amount of guts, or audacity you could say, to introduce the plot point of a freaking serial killer into a youth-oriented sitcom. Yet that's exactly what the season 2 episode of Punky Brewster, titled Urban Fear, does.
You know what's really scary? You can break into any house. Yeah, even in here.
There are an astonishing 7 victims attributed to the North Side Stalker, with another one being claimed before the episode is even halfway finished. Meanwhile, Punky's behavior at school seems to reflect her growing anxiety that something might happen to her guardian Henry. This is some pretty heavy stuff for a sitcom.
Punky drew this? It's so gruesome.
I know. Usually a drawing like this means that a child is troubled.
The episode ends with a message that basically reads, "Don't let fear overtake your life, but be careful out there in the big city." Number 21. Wrong Meeting. The Jeffersons. The character George Jefferson from All in the Family was spun off into his own series, The Jeffersons. The new show continues the bold cultural commentary of its predecessor.
Don't bother, he's got less brains than Annie.
Okay, you two.
I think you should apologize to these ladies and then leave.
Apologize? Oh, man, you got a lot to learn. Klansmen don't apologize to their kind.
The Jeffersons discusses racism right from its debut, while the season 7 episode titled Sorry, Wrong Meeting even introduces the Ku Klux Klan into the mix. This episode blends comedic misunderstandings with serious themes of unrepentant prejudice. A KKK recruitment meetings leader still doesn't change his hateful views, even after an African-American man saves his life via CPR.
He saved my life?
Yeah.
You should have let me die.
The reaction is met with well-earned disgust by the others in attendance. Overall, the scene serves as a critique of stubborn prejudice. Number 20. Howard's Mom Dies. The Big Bang Theory. It's always sort of shocking when a sitcom so well known for laughs decides to try something different and develop some real pathos.
It's my mom's furniture. It belongs in the house I grew up in, next to that pile of TV guides, and in plain view of what, for a 10-year-old, was a quality piece of string art!
There's even more of an adjustment for such an irreverent show like The Big Bang Theory. But this episode, where Howard's mom passes away, possesses a deft emotional touch. The scene where the news is broken via a telephone call is played straight for the most part, allowing the gravity of the situation to sink in for the audience.
My mom died. What? That was my aunt. Ma took a nap. She never woke up.
Afterwards, the cast spends time talking about their own relationships with Howard's mom, and this allows for a well-earned but tastefully executed bit of levity to balance things out.
To Mrs. Wallowitz, loving mother, to all of us. We'll miss you.
Number 19. Quagmire's Sister. Family Guy. If a moment of seriousness on The Big Bang Theory came as a surprise, then count us gobsmacked when this episode of Family Guy hit the airwaves. Screams of Silence, the story of Brenda Q, plays the horrific domestic situation of Quagmire's sister completely straight, to the point where Glenn, Peter, and the rest of their crew plot to kill the boyfriend.
Quagmire, you're talking about murdering a guy. It doesn't matter what he's done, it's still murder.
No, Joe, it does matter what he's done. These kinds of guys don't change.
What's even more shocking is that they actually go through with it, basically leaving no stone unturned with how far this episode was willing to go for its emotional payoff. And while reception to the episode was mixed, to say the least, we have to admire the chances Family Guy took releasing an episode this daring.
We found this note he left you.
Dear Brenda, I have decided to leave you. I realize that you are too good for me, and you and our unborn child would be better off without me in the picture. Love, Jeff.
Number 18. James Evans Sr. dies. Good times.
We regret to inform you that your husband, James Evans, was killed in an automobile.
The patriarch of the Evans family, James, was a caring and hard-working man, and the rock that held his family together. While trying to secure work in his native state of Mississippi to help his family move there, James dies in a car accident, devastating the whole family and the audience. Especially hard to watch is when his death finally hits his wife, Florida. Although adopted daughter Penny's treatment by her biological mother was also quite brutal, the effect this moment had on the show at large gave this moment even greater impact. Number 17. Dr. Cox's Breakdown. Scrubs. Dr. Perry Cox acted as the cantankerous, reluctant mentor to Scrubs protagonist JD. After a former patient of JD's apparently overdoses in one episode, Cox tells him that he can't blame himself for patients dying if he wasn't responsible, as it's a slippery slope.
Once you start blaming yourself for deaths that aren't your fault, my friend, that's a slippery slope that you can't come back from. And trust me, I've seen it ruin a hell of a lot of good doctors.
However, Cox falls victim to a similar depression after lobbying to use the dead ex-patient's organs to save 3 of his own patients. And it's discovered she had rabies. This ultimately leads to all three dying, which hits Cox especially hard as he's bonded with one of them. Cox's ensuing drunken depression is hard for viewers and the characters to watch. Number 16, Uncomfortable Uncle, Family Ties.
Arthur.
Family Ties is probably best remembered for providing a breakout role for Michael J. Fox as a young conservative Alex P. Keaton. But the sitcom also featured its fair share of dark episodes.
He hugged me real tight.
He's a warm person.
And then he patted me on the behind.
It doesn't mean anything. Ball players do it all the time.
I'd understand if I just hit a home run.
Fans may remember Speed Trap, which dealt with Alex's dependence on chemicals to study for an important exam.
Blew it.
Speed is like that, Alex. It'll keep you up for a while, but when you crash hard.
But this first season moment is even more disturbing. Give Your Uncle Arthur a Kiss follows Mallory Keaton. As a trusted family friend, they even call him Uncle Arthur, makes a pass at her when no one is looking.
No hard feelings?
No hard feelings.
The episode tries to balance comedy with this ultra-dark material, and the combination makes it cringy viewing, especially by today's standards.
Steve and Arthur trying to seduce our daughter!
We'll be right back.
Number 15, Discrimination, Family Matters. There's just no other way to say it. A sitcom clip this old shouldn't still be this relevant. The way this episode of Family Matters dealt with the racial profiling of Eddie Winslow is as good as anything done today that references this horrible subject.
Then I asked what the problem was, and one of them told me to shut up. Then he made me get out of the car and lie face down. Then he cuffed me.
Much of the honor should be put on the shoulders of Reginald VelJohnson, who perhaps delivers the finest performance in the series, as he confronts the cops who pulled over his son the night before. His monologue is delivered with passion, elocution, and barely restrained anger, with the audience reaction being so quiet that one could probably literally hear a pin drop.
So what do you say? That you only harass black kids whose parents aren't cops?
I didn't say that.
You didn't have to say that. Because the point is that you two harassed my son because he's black.
It proves that sitcoms can indeed deliver the drama when tasked to do so.
Just a second, Evans. You know, I really don't know how that badge stays on, because it's pinned to slime.
Number 14, Mateo is Taken, Superstore. This fourth season finale for Superstore hits on multiple levels. For starters, there's the underlying tension as the employees at Cloud9 are discussing their options for unionizing.
We've got a masseuse, and we've got Cloud9 Frisbees for the kids.
And for those of you who want to join the union, we've got collective bargaining rights, higher wages, and job security.
Then there's the corporate reaction, which includes calling ICE agents to take away undocumented immigrant workers such as Mateo. The scene where the crew is trying to help Mateo is fraught with real tension and stakes, the likes of which you just don't normally see in a sitcom. Finally, when the jig is up and Mateo is taken away, the last lingering shot of his coworkers and the emotional resonance of the soundtrack is enough to make your hair stand on end.
You were a shadow, and I left you in the shade.
Number 13, Goodbye, John. 8 Simple Rules.
Rory, will you please not keep your shoes on the stairs?
Those are Dad's.
Okay.
John Ritter's large comedic presence on the sitcom 8 Simple Rules was one of the reasons the show was so well received during its initial run in 2002. However, when the iconic actor died from aortic dissection a year later, the show dealt with the grieving process head-on with a pair of episodes both titled Goodbye.
They'd say, well, what do you know about mommies and daddies? And we would say, they always come back. Unless they collapse in aisle 3 of a stupid grocery store.
There are barely any laughs to be had, as Ritter's character is written out of the show, and his family is forced to confront life without him by their side. It's honestly difficult to watch even now, yet it's also a strong reminder of just how much Ritter affected those around him with his talent and presence.
Whether it's a "you're an idiot," "what a geek," or an "I hate you," and "I love you" isn't far behind. And it's the knowledge that my wife and kids love me that makes it safe for me to wear pajamas and black socks to the breakfast table.
Number 12, The Decision, Maude. It should come as no surprise that this spin-off from Norman Lear's All in the Family reveled in the same sort of envelope-pushing social commentary as its predecessor. The decision as to whether or not B. Arthur's character Maude should continue her pregnancy was important enough that a 2-part episode, Maude's Dilemma, was aired during the show's first season.
You don't have to think that way anymore. It's legal now.
You know, she's right. It's legal in New York State. You better give that a thought.
I have given it a thought. Oh, I don't know. I just don't know.
It debuted at a time when such discussions weren't exactly commonplace, and it also put into perspective Maude's age and social standing.
I think it would be wrong to have a child at our age.
Oh, so do I, Walter. Oh, Walter, so do I.
This wasn't just a problem that came up with a certain demographic or age group, but rather a topic affecting everyone in different ways.
For you, Maud, for me. In the privacy of our own lives, you're doing the right thing.
Number 11, Hotel Incident, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It isn't all that often that a cop show comedy can properly balance procedural storylines with sight gags and jokes, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine isn't your average cop show. If anything, it's a throwback to the classic 70s series Barney Miller with regards to the weight it allows certain subjects. It doesn't matter whether it's racial profiling, assault, or Rosa's coming out to her parents. Brooklyn Nine-Nine always had it covered.
Jake and I aren't dating, but guess what? Your worst fears are real. I'm not straight, I'm bisexual, and I don't care what you think about it. Screw this, I'm out of here.
The episode with the active shooter is another example of this, as it shifts between Jake and Charles joking around before the gravity of the situation sinks in. Moreover, Jake recognizes Rosa's badge number immediately, reminding us that, first and foremost, these characters' lives can be on the line.
What are they saying?
Show me going in their badge number. They're telling dispatch that they're close by and they're responding.
Diaz 3118, show me going.
Diaz? Rosa Diaz?
That's her badge number. Rosa's there.
Number 10, An Impossible Favor, The Golden Girls.
I'd like to drink a toast to Sophia, whom I hope I can count on.
The Golden Girls is known for its witty barbs, smart writing, and unique approach to discussing serious social issues, such as the episode addressing HIV.
AIDS is not a bad person's disease, Rose. It is not God punishing people for their sins.
You're right, Blanche.
Well, you're damn straight I'm right.
And then the episode Not Another Monday brings more emotional weight with the subplot of Rose, Blanche, and Dorothy babysitting, contrasting with the main story of Sophia's friends' agonizing decision-making. The episode is full of important musings on friendship, family, and the quality of life as we age. The depression and loneliness that can sometimes occur as we get older is natural, as is the tone of the conversation between Sophia and her friend as Sophia tries to talk her out of it.
You live with friends and family, holidays and warmth. I hear the silence.
Although it all ends up okay in the end, Not Another Monday still resonates today. Number 9, Sean's dad dies. Boy Meets World.
How's your dad?
Well, the doctor says he might need bypass surgery.
Sean Hunter had a rough childhood, in no small part due to his drunken, absentee father, Chet. When Chet returns, Sean is resentful due to how much he feels like his dad has made his life worse, both through action and absence. After a heart attack hospitalizes Chet, he and Sean get a chance to work out their differences, and his father indicates he intends to stick around.
Wasn't I good enough for you?
No, Sean. Wasn't good enough for you.
However, heartbreakingly, just as they reconcile, Chet suffers a second heart attack and dies. While there have been quite a few parental deaths in sitcoms, this is one of the more tragic ones.
Dad?
Number 8, Camp Counselor Confrontation, Mr. Belvedere.
Well, maybe you'll be with me tomorrow.
I think I'm gonna be in Miss Pritchard's group from now on.
The 80s sitcom Mr. Belvedere may not be as well remembered as some others on this list, but fans who did watch all seem to remember this troubling episode from the series' 4th season, The Counselor.
He might try to do something.
put his hands on him or something.
Here, young Wesley Owens wonders what to do and who to tell when a camp counselor turns criminal during a moment when the pair are alone after a swim. Episodes of Mr. Belvedere usually ended with the title character writing in his diary, but the counselor instead featured a character-breaking moment addressing the audience about who to contact in the event of a real-life situation like this one.
No one should ever touch you in a way that makes you feel bad. And if they do, tell someone you trust, like your mom or your dad.
Number 7. The Bicycle Man. Different Strokes.
What's the old saying? You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Different Strokes is known for the amount of taboo topics covered during its 8-year run. Die-hard fans may remember the creepy vibe of The Hitchhikers, but every sitcom aficionado is familiar with The Bicycle Man, a 2-part episode dealing with the worst of all topics.
Why don't we just make it our little secret, huh?
Arnold Jackson and his friend Dudley are lured, step by step, into the twisted world of their local bike shop owner, Mr. Horton. The young boys are given ice cream and comics at first, but then are shown adult cartoons and encouraged to take photos of themselves. It's profoundly creepy and horrible, yet delivered in a realistic and incredibly dark way. Don't say we didn't warn you.
It's not your fault, son.
Number 6. Drunk Driving Tragedy. Growing Pains.
Carol, don't worry, I'm gonna be okay. My car, on the other hand, that's who you should worry about.
This very special episode of Growing Pains is something of an ultra-tragic bait-and-switch. Second Chance dealt with the dangers of drunk driving when Carol's college-age boyfriend Sandy, played by future Friends star Matthew Perry, is in a major car accident.
To tell you the truth, I don't feel so hot. I got so many tubes and wires in me. I get HBO now.
Sandy speaks to Carol at the hospital, and we're led to believe that he'll eventually pull through, only to be informed later that the young man dies from his injuries off-screen.
What is it, Mike? Carol, Sandy just died.
Sandy never received his titular second chance, and we're forced to directly view Carol's grief as she embraces her family after receiving the news. Number 5. Will's Father, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. All of the episodes on this list are emotionally affecting, but this moment from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air may be one of the most well-acted.
I'll call you next week and we'll iron out the details, okay? Yeah.
It was great seeing you, son.
You too, Lou.
Will Smith was no stranger to strong performances on the show, such as the episodes dealing with guns or racial profiling.
No map is going to save you, and neither is your glee club, or your fancy Bel-Air address, or who your daddy is. Because when you're driving in a nice car in a strange neighborhood, none of that matters. They only see one thing.
This one particularly tugs on the heartstrings, however, when we find out Will's deadbeat father leaves him for the second time. Although Will was at first elated at the prospect of his dad coming back into his life, this happiness then turns to disappointment, anger, and profound grief as he lets out all of his emotions during an epic monologue.
I learned how to drive, I learned how to shave, I learned how to fight without him. I had 14 great birthdays without him. He never even sent me a damn card. To hell with him!
The final embrace with Uncle Phil makes this already tearful moment all the more poignant. Number 4. Over the Top, Blackadder. There's just something quietly brilliant yet tragically sad about the finale to this classic British comedy.
Don't forget your stick, Lieutenant.
Rather, sir. Wouldn't want to face a machine gun without this.
It's World War I, and all attempts at stalling the inevitable have failed. It's time for the soldiers to go over the top, into the battlefield, and face what might be the end of their lives. We, the audience, realize that Rowan Atkinson and his comrades, in all likelihood, will not survive, and this is echoed by the slow-motion sequence and quiet, moody musical accompaniment. Although the jokes about a cunning plan are there right to the end, once the bullets are flying and bombs are bursting, the smiles on our faces are immediately replaced with the emotion of somber understanding. Number 3. The Ice Age, Dinosaurs. If you've ever watched Jim Henson's Dinosaurs to the very end, then you know exactly which episode is at this spot. Changing Nature is infamous for being one of the bleakest ends to a sitcom ever, particularly one that deals with anthropomorphic dinosaurs.
As thick black clouds of sulfurous gas and soot now shroud the entire planet, blotting the sun from the sky and causing global temperatures to drop precipitously.
It's one thing to learn in school about how the Ice Age destroyed the dinosaurs, but it's another altogether seeing characters we've come to know and love being buried by falling snow. What's even more depressing, beyond Earl's involvement in the end of things, is the quiet acceptance of the dinosaurs' fate. They just hope beyond hope that everything will be okay, even though we know it won't.
After all, dinosaurs have been on this earth for 150 million years. And it's not like we're going to just disappear.
Number 2, the horrors of war. MASH.
There's something wrong with it. It stopped making noise. It's just stopped.
The final episode of MASH was a television landmark full of dark and memorable moments, but this one remains shocking to this day. Hawkeye Pierce is forced to recall a traumatic event while being held in a psychiatric hospital, one which occurred while Pierce and a group of wounded refugees were hiding in a bus from enemy fire. He tearfully processes a moment where he angrily yelled at a woman to quiet her crying baby, only to react in shocked horror when the woman actually smothers the child.
She killed it. She killed it.
Hawkeye's tears, anger, and frustration are palpable as the audience is taken through his stages of grief, resulting in an utterly heart-wrenching scene.
I didn't mean for her to kill it. I just wanted it to be quiet.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Edith, All in the Family.
Oh. So I'd like to ask you and your husband a couple questions, if I could.
Oh, sure, but my husband ain't here.
Norman Lear's All in the Family and its spiritual sequel, Archie Bunker's Place, were pioneering dramedies, tackling difficult issues like miscarriage and death at a relatively early point in television history. The All in the Family episode, Edith's 50th birthday, was one of the first sitcom episodes to deal with a subject as strong as assault, as Edith Bunker is confronted at gunpoint by a criminal who makes his way into the Bunker house disguised as a policeman. The audience reacts with nervous laughter as Edith panics and attempts to talk her way out of the situation with some jokes.
Wouldn't you like a cup of coffee instead?
This makes the scene even more difficult to watch as it switches back and forth between awkward humor and brutal realism.
He tried to.
He tried? What happened? What did he do?
It was awful.
Oh,
It was awful.
Do you think that sitcoms should stay away from drama, or do you welcome the change of pace? Let us know in the comments.
Oh my God, you didn't kill him and then go buy chicken, did you?
No, I bought the chicken first.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.